Good morning, everybody. Actually redoing a knife video because the first time around I did it, it was in conjunction with a gun review. And so, being that gun reviews have angered the tech overlords, I've taken all of those down from my channel, actually deleted them. So if I ever go back to doing gun reviews, I'm gonna have to redo them from scratch because I didn't have copies. But I'm doing this as an experiment to see if it improves my algorithms and things and starts pushing my other content, because I was actually starting to make a few $100 a month, and then all of a sudden it stopped. And when I looked into it, it was because all my top videos that were producing revenue were firearm related, and YouTube had silently and without warning or explanation removed the monetization from them. So I went and took them down. And now, of course, my revenue that was, doing this as my viewership and subscribers went up, fell off the chart. So I have no money coming in now because I don't have any firearm content. So I'm going to give it a month or two and see if the knife reviews and the motorcycle stuff and everything else will start to pick up, as maybe they start pushing my videos more with the algorithms, because it doesn't contain firearm content, so they're not suppressing it anymore. If not, I guess I'll go back to firearm content and see if I can get any views that way. And if not, then I'll probably just pull the plug. But in any case, here's what we're going to do. I am going to go over, again, the Sig K320 M17. What this is a really nice kind of tactical heavy-duty folder. I have some other knives out here, and if you may notice, what do they all have in common? The locking mechanism. So since Benchmade, which is that guy right there, they had their crossbar style lock they called the Axis lock. Since that patent expired, now everybody's basically doing it. They're calling it something different, but it's all basically the same thing. So what this is a collaboration between Sig Sauer and Hogue. Hogue is a really nice knife maker. They make really good, high quality, very hard use, well built, kind of maybe over engineered knives. And so what they did was they wanted a companion knife to this. Now, this is not a gun video. I'm just bringing it out for illustrative purposes. For the Sig P320 M17 or M18. So there's the military, the new adopted pistol of the U.S. Armed Forces is, depending on the branch, you're going to have the M17, which is the longer 5-inch or 4.79-inch barrel. For the Army, and then I believe the other services signed up for the M18, which is basically the same gun, but the barrel would end there, just a slightly shorter at a 4-inch barrel. So they wanted a knife that in looks, feel, ergonomics, everything went with this. Now you may say, wait, this does look a little different. That is because I do have the Wilson Combat grip module installed. The stock one is here. So now that you know what gun I'm talking about, we'll just kind of move this off to the side and go back to the original grip module. And that's kind of the beauty of that particular pistol, is you can just swap these out. It's just a piece of plastic. The actual firearm is all the guts that come out. Those are the parts you do the paperwork on and do the form and background check, and everything else can be swapped out. This is just a $40 piece of plastic. So Hogue, I believe, makes these grips for the Sig Sauer pistols. I believe they went to Hogue and said, you've got great manufacturing processes with injection molded plastics and things like that for a lot of your knives, and other things that Hogue does, grips, all kinds of things. So can you make these to our specs for these other pistols? So the knife was made to go along with that. The stippling is the same. The way that it curves and in the ergonomics, there's a lot of comparable look and feel, and that's because they're designed by the same company to complement each other. So what we've got here is, we'll go through the specs real quick. It's got a 3.5-inch blade. The cutting edge is about 3 inches. You can get this in different configurations. So you can get them in black. There's black with, I believe, a satin blade. Then you have the Coyote, which is to go with the military pistols. You can get it in a Tonto blade or the drop point. You can get serrated or straight edge all the way. And you can get it in a full automatic. So if you wanted a push button, you could have an automatic version of all of these. So there's lots of different combinations. I went with this. I don't like side opening automatics. I just don't like having something that's under tension. OTFs are not. Those are not under tension. You supply that tension when you push the button. So there's never a chance of it firing in your pocket. with this, there could be if you didn't have the locking gauge. So I like manual folders when it's side opening. So 3.5-inch blade, 3-inch cutting edge, does have a generous finger choil so you can choke up on it. We've got jimping along the back here as well as a nice ramp. So that jimping is part of the blade and part of the handle itself. Let's see, it is S30V, so decent blade steel. It is 1/8 inch thick, so pretty beefy without being overkill. It's a high flat grind, does have a swedge on the top, nice strong piercing point. It uses, I can't figure out if it is using ball bearing pivots or if it's using phosphor bronze. I will say, it's beautiful. The action is sweet. There's no blade play in here, so I want to say bearings, but I'm not 100% sure. Someone I'm sure can probably fact check me on that. But this thing is, without having any blade play up or down or side to side, it is stout. But it's got this beautiful, very much the same as my other ones. We'll go through just to compare them. Perfectly ergonomic. It's got the same plastic composition of, I think it's fiberglass reinforced nylon, textured, contoured exactly the same way, coyote tan on the major portions, and then black on any of the fixtures. Nice deep pocket clip with some interesting machining there. And you've got the American flag there that is etched in as well. Get that to maybe focus. There we go. What's cool about this is that you can move this here, and you may notice there's a little bit of a difference in texture there. That's where the clip rides, and they've scalloped it out. It's actually dished a little bit, and they've muted and blunted the whatchamacallit, the stippling, so that it's not as abrasive where that thing is going to be pushing on your pocket. But you can move it to left to right and tip up and tip down. And the way they've done it is they've offset it, and it's screwing into metal in there, not screwing into plastic. So it's going to be anchored really well, but it'll be out of the way where it will not interact with the button. And that's always been a problem with a lot of knives, is that, with the able lock right there, is you have to be careful where you put the pocket clip, or you may end up covering that. So this thing flicks very well with the thumb. You can open it very slowly if you want and just do it that way. But the way I actually tend to open these is just pull the lock in, which releases the blade. I mean, you can see how loose that blade is. And you just flick it. When you want to close it, you just pull the button in. I mean, the blade just pretty much drops where it needs to go. So very cool, very nice. If you like to have a matched set or something like that. It weighs just a tad, about 4¼ ounces. So it is on the heavier side for an EDC type knife, but it's nothing, crazy. It's a PVD coating that should hold up pretty well. Again, it's the same as what they use on the pistol. So you'll notice that on the pistol, I guess we're comparing the wrong handles, but when you look at this handle compared to the coloring, it's a slightly different coyote tan. It's the same way here. The plastic is identical. That's identical. It really is like, you bought a matched set of these things to go together. So comparing it to size-wise to some of my other, and I grabbed these just because these are the similar lock. I've got my SOG Kiku XR. By the way, these were around 135 bucks, 140, somewhere in there. The SOG, I think, is like 190. This is completely overbuilt. I mean, look at the thickness in the steel on that guy compared to that. The steel liner locks are double the thickness. This thing is just, it won't be as good of a slicer, but that's just an insanely strong knife. But we've got that, which also has sweet action. That has ball bearings as well. And I would say that's even a little bit smoother. I tend to think, just by feeling these side by side, this one I know is ball bearing pivots. I think that this is probably just phosphor bronze washers. It doesn't quite have that. A lot of times it feels as smooth, but you can actually feel the ball bearings rolling here. There's just a different feel to it. You can actually feel them rolling. I don't feel that on this. So kudos to them for having something that's almost as smooth and very light with phosphor bronze washers. This one is also phosphor bronze washers. This one is breaking in nicely. This is my James brand Carter XL. Similar concept, but a little more elegant, a little more gentlemanly, while still being a fairly good size and fairly robust knife. And those bronze phosphor washers, I think I said in the other video, they were as a ball bearing pivot. Some of their knives are, this one is not. But that is starting to break in pretty nicely, so you can see it's starting to loosen up really good. So we've got that for size comparison. That's probably a little closer because that's the 3.5-inch blade. This is down at, I think, 3 and 3.3 or something. And then of course we got the little bug out, which has just crazy sweet action. So light. Give it just a little bit of a flick and off it goes. And that is, I guess maybe we'll put it in there. It's not as tall, but as far as length goes, that's where that fits in there. That's about the biggest, not by much. It's just a little, it's definitely bigger than this one. It's a little bit bigger than the Carter XL. It's about the same size as a Spyderco Paramilitary 2. But it is a really sweet action. It's a really nice design. And if you've got the Sig M17 or M18 military pistol, it just goes perfectly with that. In fact, color-wise, actually, it'll probably go really nice with my new Gerson. I always forget the name of it. I got the manual here. What is it? It's the Regard MC. I have one of those. I just bought it. It's a Turkish M9 clone. And it's all in the same coyote color and stuff like that. So if I ever get back into gun reviews, I'll end up doing one of those too. But there you go. It's a really cool design. Very robust. You know, it's probably a bit overkill for, you know, maybe EDC for a lot of folks. You'd look at that and go, oh, that looks more like a weapon. Well, it's designed to go with that. It's a heavy duty utility, but it also is a bit more of that tactical type. I mean, it's made to hold, it's made to you know, push into something with all the contours here and the jimping. I mean, in the finger choil, I mean, it really locks your hand in there securely to where if you had to really jam this into something, not going to say someone, into something, you know, that needed piercing for some reason that was justified, it really is contoured and really built for that. So very cool knife. I really love the design. I love the fact that it really goes well with the Sig M320. Or sorry, the M17. It's the P320 series and then the M17 and M18 variants. But that's today's knife review. Had to redo. Very cool, super slick action. I feel like that's a knife, you know, there's certain knives you carry because, you know, you're just opening packages and you just need a little knife in your pocket. Maybe it's the slip joint. Maybe if you just happen to like a little bit of a larger knife like that, that's really clean and just kind of gentlemanly and elegant, you carry something like that one day. But I don't know, maybe if you're going camping or you're out in the woods or you're doing something where you're like, I need something just a little more robust. I don't know what kind of adventures life is going to throw at me, so I'm going to go ahead and carry something that's a little heavier duty. That's where these type of knives are going to be a step ahead of these. Not that you couldn't use these in a pinch for emergency situations or hard use, but those you could probably do it with, but they're not really designed for it. Something like the Sig K320 or the SOG Kiku HR, these are designed. These are meant to be heavy duty knives that you could also still use for light tasks and opening up, you know, an Amazon package or something like that. But when you got something where, you know, it means business, that's where I think this knife is going to shine. So I hope you enjoyed. You got any questions, throw them in the comments. If you missed the firearm content, let me know. Maybe I can get talked into doing it one day. I got to figure out what I want to do with the channel. Unfortunately, the things that make me money then end up getting turned off and I have to fight with YouTube to get them turned back on. So it's like if I have them, then I might make some money, but it's a fight. If I take it off, then I don't make any money. You know, I don't know. But I do like to do the knife reviews, so maybe I'll keep doing them either way. But let me know what your thoughts. Hit like and subscribe, share with your friends, and help a brother out, yo.